welcome to the World Transformed. Tonight we're taking you to the Elon Scapades. My name is Phil Bowermaster, and with me in the virtual studio is my co-host, Stephen Gordon. Hello, Stephen.
Hey, Phil, how are you?
Well, I am super fantastic. How are you, my friend?
I'm great. Hey, we're going to be talking about one of my favorite things to talk about. Yeah, I'm good.
Last time we did a show about Elon Musk, and we do one every now and then, probably about quarterly, I would say, right? Roughly,
yeah.
Every quarter or so we do an Elon Musk show. I don't know if he appreciates that we're doing this for him, but the last one we did was we were taking his side in the high kids debate, whether he was just engaging in a publicity stunt or whether he was genuinely trying to do a good thing there. I stand by that. I still think he was trying to do a good thing. I
think he was trying to do a good thing, but sometimes you can really foul up in the process of doing a good thing.
Or after trying to do a good thing. Yes.
Yeah.
But wait, before we get into all the potentially dodgy Elon content, let's start with the big one, the one we're most excited about, where if none of the rest of this was going on, we'd do just a show about this. Here's the headline: Elon Musk is sending a Japanese billionaire to the moon, and he's taking a group of artists with him. Well, this is not only an awesome story. This is pretty darn good damage control, right, on the part of Elon Musk.
How better can you be at changing the subject than say, I'm sending someone to the moon?
Right.
That's pretty great.
Well done. He's had a rough week in the press, and we're going to analyze some of that. What rough month, really, in the press, and we're going to analyze some of that. But let's talk about Yusaku Maezawa, who is going to be the first private individual ever sent on a trip to the moon.
That's right. And here's the thing. He is paying dearly for these tickets, but he's probably not even paying half. A lot of this is just being funded by SpaceX itself and others. This is important to do, right? I mean, it's been a long time since humans have left low Earth orbit. It's about time that this happens. So
it's about time we took a trip like this, and it's a trip back to the moon. Not going to land on the moon, sadly, but even flying around the moon once or twice or a few times, whatever they plan to do there with the big Falcon rocket, will be fine by me. I think it's cool. I think a manned mission to the moon is just what the world needs right now, and I love the idea that this guy is buying his own ticket, and he's bringing a posse with him, letting the big Falcon live up to its name, right? The BFR. Also, the F stands for frickin', if you will. There's another take on big BFR, but it's a big rocket. It can take a lot of people to the moon. The plan is eventually it's going to take a lot of people to Mars. So why not bring several people? And he says, I love this, Maezawa says, I choose to go to the moon with artists. And he's planning on putting together a team of artists to bring to the moon. Now, I know he had to have selected those words intentionally to say, I choose to go to the moon. Obviously, that is an echo of John F. Kennedy's famous, we choose to go to the moon, talking about the U.S. and our entry into the space race against the Soviets. And now here we have an individual saying, I choose to go to the moon, and telling how he's going to go to the moon. And I just think it's terribly exciting. Once again, we're living in a Robert A. Heinlein novel. This is the future I wanted to live in, and Elon Musk is providing it. So,
you know what? I hear an echo also of one of our favorite sci-fi movies. You'll recall in Contact, Phil, by Carl Sagan. Basically, she was taking in a galaxy in the window of her spaceship.
No idea. I can't remember what she said.
She said they should have sent a poet. Is what she said.
There you go. Should have sent a poet.
It's just too beautiful. I don't have the capabilities to express what I'm seeing here. So
let's send some artists to the moon. Let's send some artists out into space. What a great idea. Yeah, I love that. I love everything about that. I think it's awesome. I think it's exciting. And so the world has said, thank you, Elon Musk. No harm done on any of this other stuff, and we can just wrap the show. Is that right?
Well, Elon is a complicated individual. Yeah, he's had a rough month in the press. He sure has. And
well, let's go down the list. Let's talk about the various things, kind of in the order they happened, more or less. Okay. First off, he tweets that he's going to take SpaceX, right? Or Tesla, excuse me. Yeah. He's going to take Tesla private. Now the SEC is like, you can't even say that, okay? You're not even allowed to put that on Twitter.
I'm going to just tell you, if you're a public individual and you're responsible for a large corporation or say
you're president of the United States. Just throw that out there.
Just argue. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I was trying to find a way to say it without saying it. But, let's say you're the president of the United States. Don't tweet. I mean, come on. just don't do it. Don't do it, because all it is an opportunity to stick your foot in your mouth and say something in anger, or just, you get excited about something, you can still say the wrong thing, even if you're not angry. You need filters, you really, really do. That's what you have these smart people around you for. So, yeah. Have
powerful people done themselves any favors ever on Twitter? That would be
I don't think so. That would be a topic. I'm reminded of the woman that racist tweet, and she's on an airplane back from someplace, and before she lands, she's fired. I mean,
before she lands, she's disgraced in front of the whole world. Actually, that's a really good example of badly done joke, right? That just gets ahead of her and destroys her life, basically. I mean, they wrecked her life with that. Yeah, it makes you wonder. I mean, the only stuff I ever put on Twitter is announcements for this show, pretty much, and I repeat. Right, and I repeat other things. It's like, oh, this person said this interesting thing, and even that's dangerous, right? Because you can quote the wrong person.
And from time to time, you have to you put out there, basically, if I'm posting something, I'm not necessarily agreeing with it. It's something that I find interesting that I'll probably come back to.
Right.
It's much a reference for myself to study further as it is for anybody else to look at,
Well, that's what I use Facebook for, and people give me all kinds of. I've had a lot of grief for that. It's like, why do you share this garbage? And I'm like, well, I just wanted to look at it later. So, well, just share it with yourself then. I'm like, well, don't read my news feed. I don't care if you read my news feed or not.
There's a little thing that you can push to see less of me, and that's I invite you to
try that. See if that helps. Yeah. See if that takes some of the noise out of the system for you, because I don't care. Caveat emptor. If you read my Facebook feed, you might get a lot of bad info. Okay, I'll just tell you right now that it's not nearly as filtered as, say, this show is. Right, where we're careful. Where we're actually trying to do something.
Exactly.
To me, Facebook is I'm taking notes in front of the world, and then I share things I think are funny and things that I want to go out to the world. But I don't make what would potentially be a devastating announcement about my large company to the world in a glib, offhand way. That's the problem. You want to be a private citizen? Go be a private citizen. You want to be CEO of a publicly held company? You got.
You're not a private citizen anymore. Not really.
Yeah, not in certain contexts. Not when you say certain things. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think the next example even goes further in that direction, because here's our sequel to the cave rescue. So the lead diver in the rescue of those boys in Thailand. By the way, once again, so happy that everything worked out great there. Right.
Right. It could have been a worse tragedy than it was. Now, we lost a couple. How many rescuers did we lose? Like one or two?
One or two, I think, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't know exactly. It wasn't a complete success in that sense, but the kids were safe.
That they got any of the kids back at all is a miracle. It's just an absolute
and the fact that they got them all is
and the people who pulled off the rescue are heroes who've done a wonderful thing, right?
Right.
So one of them gets into a fight with Elon Musk about, I guess he had very little use for Musk and his, hey, I've got this idea for a submarine, I've got this plan for how we can rescue these kids. He told him to take his submarine and stick it where it hurts or something like that. Well, if you are actually trying to do a good thing, that's got to sting, right? That's got to hurt when somebody says that.
I suspect that's exactly what happened. I mean, here I'm genuinely trying to help. I'm willing to provide at my own expense some very expensive equipment that's like state-of-the-art, best in the world for doing exactly what needs to be done here. And I've been told to take a hike by this bozo.
Yeah.
Well, bozo would have been preferable name to have called this hero than what he ended up calling.
Lashes out, says he's a pedophile, says he married a 12-year-old girl in Thailand. And obviously there is a trade in that in Thailand. There are men from other parts of the world who go and live in Thailand because there is a sex trade with kids there. So that is an actual thing that happens. So when you levy that charge against someone, there is already well, of course it better be true, right? But especially here, because there's already that little bit of, oh, really? That guy was in Thailand. You know what I mean? It's like there's that little bit of, where'd he get that? Why do you think that? Why do you say that? Kind of thing to it. But it's got to be true. And also, that's just the wrong way. If somehow you've got evidence of that, you go to the authorities, right? You don't tweet it to get back at the guy because he hurt your feelings, right? I mean, that's
right.
That is just as wrong as it can be. And he apologized. He said, you know what, I shouldn't have done that. I'm sorry. I take it back. And then BuzzFeed, they sent him this email, and they're like, hey, what about that guy? Do you really think he was? And then he goes, he doubles down. And then finally he triples down, right? And he says, no, he is. That guy's a pedophile. And he says, I hope he sues me. And, of course, now the guy is suing him for defamation of character. Like, Elon, dude, okay?
Shut up when you're ahead, man. I mean, just, whatever.
Well, when you hit bottom, don't dig. Is the other rule. Speaking of which, he went on Joe Rogan. First off, I want to say a couple things. I like the Joe Rogan show by and large. He has some people on. I just don't care. I don't want to hear it. Blah blah blah. But he gets good people on once in a while, and it's really interesting. His discussion with Neil deGrasse Tyson a couple years ago is really good. And he's had a lot of really smart people, and it's a long-form show, kind of like we used to do. It can go as long as it wants to. And he talked for 2 hours to Elon Musk. And let me tell you, that is an amazing conversation. You gotta watch or listen to the whole thing. Some amazing stuff comes out there. And you had actually shared with me, Stephen, we'll link it here, a YouTube video that just had some quotes from Elon.
Yeah,
from the interview.
Great quotes. So, was it a complete disaster? No, there was some excellent penetrating stuff going on in that interview, which is awesome. That's great. But you know what? That's not what most people take away from it. Optics are everything.
Well, the headline, of course, was Elon Musk drinks whiskey and smokes pot on a podcast, right? So it's like, for one thing, on behalf of Joe Rogan, I'm like, hey, name the podcast for crying out loud, okay? What are you doing? A podcast? That's wrong. But secondly, that is going to be the thing that people remember. That is going to be the takeaway. Of course. It's funny, during the show, at one point, Joe says to Elon, he says, "What are you looking at your phone? What's going on?" He goes, "Oh, I'm getting texts from people telling me I shouldn't have smoked pot." So it's like, yeah, I can see where that might occur. Now, you and I are going to get in an argument about this, so this is going to be fun. But I'm going to take the position that I really don't care. As Joe Rogan points out, token the joint was as legal in the state of California as drinking the whiskey was. And it's like, where do you draw the line? Could he have had a beer?
Yeah.
What would have been okay for him to do you think, Stephen? Say you're taking the he should not have done it position, right?
Oh yeah, he should not have done it. It's about the optics, man. And it's not as legal as Joe Rogan's wrong about that. Last I checked, California is still part of the United States, and it is a federal crime, to smoke pot. It just is, and though it's not enforced in any meaningful way, it is. And so, it's not as legal as drinking the whiskey was, for one thing.
Under California law, it is.
I agree. Under California law, it's as legal as the whiskey was.
Yes.
But here's the thing. I'm going to join you in not caring. If Elon wants to relax on a Friday evening at home, firing up a doobie, that's his business, and I don't care. Right. And that, it might make him a better CEO because when he arrives back at work on Monday, maybe he's a little more relaxed, right? I don't know. Whatever he needs to do to take the edge off on when he's on his private time, go for it, dude. But you don't allow yourself to have pictures taken of yourself smoking a joint if you're the CEO of a publicly traded company. You just don't. That's bad. You don't do that. It's terrible optics. You're trying to come across as someone that people should trust their money with. You don't want to come across as a stoner, and that's my way of thinking about it. So, anyway, what's your counter on that, Phil?
Well, it's hard to counter.
How am I complete square in saying
I'm older even than you, Stephen. So it's hard to counter that argument just from a business standpoint. It's like, well, it's hard to make the case that that should be okay, because I think ultimately, maybe he positions himself as kind of edgy and out there by doing that, right? It's like, I don't care. I'll go on Joe Rogan. I'll drink whiskey if I want to. I'll light up a joint, whatever. I'm Elon frickin' Musk, right? I can do whatever I want. So maybe there's this long-term positioning of himself that benefits, but that's a hard case for me to make. And I'm speaking as a marketing guy who likes that kind of positioning because if you say, what was he thinking, the obvious answer is he wasn't. He just went with the moment.
I think we've seen a lot of examples of him not thinking.
Yeah.
And I get the feeling that he's a little bit on the edge. that he might be having some sort of breakdown, and don't want the public to get that idea if you're in the position he's in.
Well, from a business standpoint, here's what's happening. The stock took a dive. It was hurting from the SEC stuff anyway. The flame war with the British diver and being sued on that's not helping either, right? That stuff, that's not helping. You can't be doing that kind of stuff. Then this happens. Then the CFO resigns and the head of HR on the same day, right, from Tesla. And who was it? The head of supply, head of purchasing, something like that, just 2 or 3 days ago, also stepped down. So that's chaos, okay? It's like you got chaos at Tesla. Dude, get a grip, okay?
Yeah.
And here's why. This is important. I recommend to everyone to watch the whole Joe Rogan interview. It's really good. And the stuff he says about the future of AI, it's really interesting. Stuff he says about being optimistic about the future, it's actually kind of inspiring. It's a really good insight into who this person is. And I'll tell you who he is. He's Sheldon from The Big Bang Theory, like without the poise. You watch Elon Musk for 2 hours, and this is just a nerd, right? I mean, he is a pure nerd, and God bless him, right? We need that. Because let's go back to the top story. Who else is ever going to credibly say they're going to send somebody to the moon, or build a company like Tesla, or do something like we were talking about the Boring Company on the Tuesday show. We were talking about actually building tunnels under Los Angeles. And he talks about this in the Joe Rogan interview. He talks about the benefit of this and how deep you can go and how much more space you have. And it's not just for roads, but there's a lot of stuff you can put down there. It's really interesting. And it's like, this is an amazing resource and an amazing person to have playing on our world stage.
I would just say it. The man's a national treasure, but he needs a keeper. He needs people in his life that can say, Elon, no, put the doobie down. We're not gonna smoke marijuana on the Joe Rogan show.
This is where I'm going to slam Joe Rogan just a little, okay? Because again, I said good things about him. I love that show, but there's a couple of things Rogan could have done. One is he could have addressed some of this other stuff in his conversation with Musk, and he didn't. They didn't go to any of this. Didn't talk about the SEC thing. Didn't talk about the diver. Didn't talk about chaos at Tesla. None of that, right? The whole thing was Joe Rogan admiring Elon Musk and telling him how awesome he is and how can a man as busy as you are do all the different things you're doing and all that kind of stuff. And I understand, it's a very Chris Farley show kind of
why are you so awesome?
To be in.
Hard-hitting interview. Why are you so awesome?
Why are you so awesome? If you want to help him, it would have helped him a lot more to give him a fair and square place to address some of those things and come off as I'm not crazy. And maybe torch up after the cameras are off. I'm just saying, if you want to help Elon Musk, that might have been a little better. Again, I didn't really have a big problem with the fact that they lit up. And I think the show is just amazing, and everybody should watch it. I actually like it better than the edited with the music version because that's just a little bit fanboy, I guess. And maybe you want to... You know what I mean? It's like kind of like the way I edit these podcasts. I clean up when we stumble and things like that. That's kind of cleaned up Elon Musk. Watch raw Elon Musk, right? Watch the actual guy. Watch the nerd and hear his ideas. I think it's just he's an amazing person.
Over the course of his life, he has had people in his life that helped him and sort of helped manage him and the rougher parts of Elon, right? I mean, his ex-wife was very much like that, and he had someone, I think it's SpaceX, who was very much that person in his life as well, who he ended up firing, and of course he's divorced now, and he's divorced from that first wife. I get the impression that being that person takes a special person. I get the impression it's a lot of hard work to be that person in Elon's life, to rein him in just a little bit so that he can better be the genius he needs to be. I just think that would be like a 24/7 job that would wear a normal person down. I just get that impression. But
here's my plea to Elon Musk, okay? Get that person or become it yourself. But we want to keep doing shows about you. I want somebody to go to the moon on one of your spaceships. I want people to go to Mars on your rockets, Elon. I'm speaking as a guy who believes in the future and who wants the future to be
I'd love
awesome.
to see Tesla survive, although that seems less and less likely.
I'd like to see Tesla survive, too. I'd like to see the Boring Company do amazing things. Everything he's done, everything he's touched, I think, has been cool. And he talks about how he wants to do cool stuff and make the world more cool. So please keep doing that. please keep doing those things. Find a way, get it together. We don't want you to be like a footnote. We want to be doing a show in 5 years and say, remember when Elon Musk and before it all fell apart and we were hoping that things wouldn't fall apart? And, gee, about now they would have been sending SpaceX ships to the moon and stuff, right? We don't want to be saying that in a few years.
Yeah.
So, Elon, this is your wake-up call, okay? And, Joe, a little tough love with Elon would have helped. I'm just saying.
Well, Joe got what he wanted, though. I mean, Joe got a show that everybody's talking about for weeks and months, probably.
Yeah.
Maybe
he's got
years.
millions.
Yeah.
You watch his Jordan Peterson interview, right? I mean, he's got millions and millions and millions of viewers. He doesn't need to seek publicity, Joe. Not like us. Obviously we'll do anything we can get people to click on our stuff. But in fact, Stephen, I'm going to light up right now. The camera's not on me. No.
Just light up. Okay, go for it, Phil.
I got nothing.
Yeah, and it's just as legal in Denver as the whiskey.
Well, as you point out, though, under federal law, so I'm not.
It's
that's
really
the
not.
reason
That's
I'm not going to. It's not that I don't have any or anything like that.
Thanks, Bill.
The law part. Because we're really hip and edgy on this show, just like Joe Rogan. I think that's the
the point that needs to be made. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's where we want to end that. All right. Well, this has been fun, Stephen. We're going to do more. We're going to do more Elon Musk shows. Hopefully, we're going to have better news to report next time out. I think we probably will, and look forward to talking about him with you again. It's just one of our regular ongoing topics, isn't it?
Yeah, he's a perennial subject. And the thing about Elon, we might need to talk about him again next week, or maybe we can wait a quarter. But
let's see if we can calm things down, Elon.
Just never know.
Hopefully, we'll do a show around Christmas, something like that.
That's right. That's when we want to do a show. So if you can keep it together until then, we would like that. So
that would be great. All right, great stuff, Stephen. Great talking with you. Great having you all with us. We will be back next week with 2 or possibly 3 brand new shows. We'll see how it goes. And until next time, live to see it.